Kusile masatla mahle sanivusela sanamukela lo mhlahlelweni Kusile breakfast shows makhulu ukuthi namhlanje nikhethe kuvuka nathi sicala ilona liviki lelinsha sibe kuye nje impela somvule ngikhulu kade ema primary elections lapho khona sive siphume ngebuningi baso sayovotela labo lesifuna sabamelela eParliament kanye nasetinkhundleni imibiko ke levelile ukuthi inombolo yabomake labavotelwe ibencane nalonyaka lekuyeni for lekhathathe inhlangano letibukele emalungelo abomake kanye nemkhankaso so 1 billion rising lolukhetho ke lulethe kujabula kanti kulabanye ululethe lusizi labo labangakaphumelele bafaka ekhathi indivuna tembuso kanye nalabo labebanga emalunga eParliament. Kanti on the show today we'll be joined by a government spokesperson Alpheus Nxumalo to give us an overview ukuthi lukhetho luhambe kanjani from government's perspective, and we'll also be joined by Pico Pindile Vilakati naye asibikele ukuthi impela sonto ihambe kanjani asibuka lo likhetho mhlambe netikigaba letibikiwe nekulimala kwebamfu sabe sinaye Pico nga 7:30 bese kuthi Alpheus sibe naye nga 6:30 njoba ke sicala nje neliviki kucala imisebenzi elive leminye leminengi lefaya ekhathi umhlanga njengoba nje tinifombe kubheka ukuthi ibhalise kusasa kanye ne trade fair letawucala mhla ka1 ngalesihlanu kanye ne double celebration etabe yendeka evikini lelitako mhla ka6 September kusatawuphithitela impela khona lapha eveni kumanje sitawubuka ihloko lethamba embili kumaphephandaba ethu lomuhla. Asike sitaqala ngekubuka iTimes of Eswatini lo mhla ngomsombuluko ukuthi lethamba embili dithini. Asibuka yona phephandaba iTimes of Eswatini ngiyo imiphumela ema primary elections njengoba kuvela nje lapha ithombe tabo MP le baphumile nalabangenile kulokhetho loluncane 2 ministers over 10 outgoing MPs out Lutho Robert Magongo Small Joe among major webahlanisha labaphumile kanti ke nasibuka iEswatini Observer lomhla ekseni ihloko lethamba embili nakhona ihloko sihamba embili ngenza yama primary elections 18 former MPs out 5 former ministers through electorate gives EBC thumbs up bahlanisha ke labafaka ekhathi Lutho Dlamini who is out Minister Lady Howard nayo phumile Small Joe Dlamini nayo phumile into lehloko lethamba embili kuphephandzabeni iEswatini Observer. Sibuka ukuthi emidlalo lomuhla EFA top press through bafaka ekhathi Mashumi Shongwe Comfort Shongwe kanye na Steve Horton kuletinye thamba embili kutemidlalo Nsingizini sign exciting no more ngilethe kulethamba embili phephandzabeni kunasibuka dona temidlalo. Ngilethe kuthamba embili kumaphephandaba ethu lomhla iTimes of Eswatini kanye neEswatini Observer. Let's take a break nasibuya sathatha indaba ethu lomhla ekseni.
Umsakado wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letiya ngaleso sikhathi tindzaba letide magama laqosheme letitsembekile letitsinza tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni
kusukela kutepolitiki tetemphilo tekulima tetinkantolo netemhlaba wonke jikelele siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhathi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulomsakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni libhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letichamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakato wetithombe iEswatini TV.
Asibenza sinimukele ngo 5 minutes after 6 dabukade nizaba tetfu lomhla ekseni. Lokhetho loluncane lwesifundza sakamanzini lulethe ukujabula kulabanye kanti kulabanye kube nelisizi njengoba abakaphumeleli. Labo labangakaphumeleli bafaka ekhatsi itindvuna tembuso kanye nalabo labe bangemalunga eParliamente.
Labanye balabo bebanconyiwe bathi tena babona kwekuthi emaphepha labavotelwe ngawo mancane nakusabalwa bavele baphuma kuleto tikhunga bangasameli nekuthi kubalwe. Bebabonakala emehlweni kwekuthi bajabhe kakhulu. Kulabanye bekuyinjabulo yodwa ngesikhathi labo labavotele baphumelela. Emanconyo wona lebekatse ahleti indzawonye ebusuku bonke ebebonakala athenjo emehlo kulabo bebakatse babala. Labatiwako labanye labaphumelele kulolukhetho bafaka ekhathi Machawe Mavuso wasemkhiweni lowake wabalunga leParliamente, Manzizwane yenhlambeni lebekatse alunga leParliamente, Emahlanya Primary School kube naMawi Khumalo loseyane iminyaka lengu-25 aseParliamente ngemuva kwekungenela lukhetho kusukela ngeminyaka wanga 1998 kalobamba. Bishop Bekibandla Vilakati uphumelele eNgwembise emaqutuvulwini emanzini South loyo lowake waba indvuna yetisebenti ngeminyaka wanga 2016 eParliamente yelishumi owenqumalo uphumelele kulama primary elections kanye na Webster Lukhele emanzini North. Labatiwako labangakakhoni kuphumelela bafaka ekhathi indvuna yetekuvakasha Moses Vilakati eNdondozi Primary, indvuna yetemfundvo Lady Howard emafutheni kanye naSibusiso Mapanisi Dlamini lebekatse alunga leParliamente kwaLuseni. Lokubonakele kamanzini kwekuthi linani labomake lelivotelwe kuletikhunga lesivakashele alisilo lelijabulisa njengobe bebatfola emavoti lamancane kakhulu labanye. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Nelswendla ngamandla kunaphathizwe Msibi kamanzini.
Kuphela isikhathi lesilinganiselwa ngitulu kwama-hour lasihlanu kungakacalwa kubalwa kwamavoti ekwaLuseni Primary School ngaphansi kwenkundla yasekwaLuseni kanye nase-Hillside School Hall ngaphansi kwenkundla yasemanzini North. Lokhu kubangelwe ukuthi emanconyo ebengaboni ngasolinye nelibandla le-Elections and Boundaries Commission.
Labo lebekatse banconyiwe bebakhala kakhulu ngekuthi imiphumela ye-special voting kufanele ukuthi isheshe ifike kubo kungakafiki ilanga lelikhetho.
Ngiko ngicela ukuthi masingathola lezi results lelo bese sesiyaba ngoba lapho ngeke nayo i-commission isabona ukuthi bengidlala ejele kunje. Sekutawube kuvume kuphumile ngoba ejele ndawuphinda kwavotwa kwapha. Sicela lento thinombolo kuphela nje balolakho.
There's some change about our admits of it. For it. The information was given. For it. But that's what you did. For it.
Lobuka likhetho ekwaLuseni umbishopi Bekindlela Magongo wetamile kwehlisa emaphaphu kuwo emanconyo.
1 ngite lungelo lekwate ma results akade asibona mina ingitheni 2 ngite lungelo lekwate ema results ase prison lolone lungelo ngulo lofuna our declaration nami ngwadi public ukuthi athini lama results lelo umthetho uthi i-commission so mina lo ngilanya nale team lesebenza nayo kude lomnikete ema results latawuthi nawa abiye prison na.
Sibese sikhulumisana naye umchumanisi wayo i-Elections and Boundaries Commission Mbonisi Bhembe lochazile kwekuthi imiphumela yalabo labagcinwe eminyango yecondzisa timilo babese bayayiniketa wona emanconyo. Bhembe uthite batawuqinisekisa ukuthi elikhethweni lolutako bayisebenta kangcono lendzaba. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV nginginelswendla ngamandla kunaphathizwe Msibi ekwaLuseni.
Umkhankaso wa 1 billion rising undlulise ukudumala lokukhulu ngekungasekeleki kwabomake elikhethweni loluncane. Umxhumanisi walomkhankaso lapha eAfrika acela Nhlatshwayo ukuthi eMaswati akhombise kutendela phansi ngekuthi bomake bangavotelwa ngalokubhekekile ukuthi bakhona ukuchubekela esigabeni selikhetho lolukhulu. Lokhu kulandzela ukuthi bomake labangenele elikhetho labanye babo batfole amavoti lamancane kakhulu.
Njengoba sigaba selikhetho lolincane ema-primary elections eminyaka wa-2023 sekafike emaphethelweni, kunetinhlangothi letitsite lebetikadze tibhekekile kokuthi kuleli khetho titaba represented noma-ke titaba ingcenye yato loku-ke kufaka ekhathi bantfu labakhubatekile, bantfu labasha kanye nabomake. Lokhu bonakele ukuthi kulesigaba sema-primary elections bomake abakaveli kakhulu kanti sibabonile esigabeni sama-nominations kube khona labo labaphakanyiswa etinkundleni letahlukene nasetifundzeni letahlukene futhi telive. Kepha-ke noma belibandla letelikhetfo nemincele basengahlanganisi cishe tonke tinombolo noma tisahlanganiswa. Kepha-ke imibiko levelako ukuthi bomake labanyenti abakakhoni kwekuthi baphumelele ekuthenini bangakhona kwekuthi bachubekele esigabeni sema-secondary elections. Ekuvite nami senginaye lobuke noma-ke lokuxhumanisa i-Afrika yonke elihlelweni lemkhankaso 1 billion rising lokunguye Cola Nhlatshwako. Nhlatshwako yini bahamba leli eshodako nyalo?
Impela inyanza leyo lena lenteka kangwane yekuthi bomake bangabikho ebuholini. Lukhetho silibonile abantu bebakhona ngetinombolo batokhetha. Kepha kusidumata kakhulu ukuthi tinombolo tabomake letiphumelele kulama primary elections tincane kakhulu. Lokhu ke kusikhombisa kona ukuthi eMaswati asengakafisi. eMaswati asengakabubone bumcoka bekuthuthuka kwelive lawo. Lana nje angilileli bomake ngililele eMaswati onke ngoba ngiwo latendele phasi ekubeni nabomake bepolitikini kuyinto lemcoka kakhulu eveni kuletha intuthuko eveni na tinhlangothi tonkhana letikhona eveni. Njengoba uvetile ukuthi nebantu labasha bekho nabomaka bekho kahle tinombolo tincane vele kakhulu lekusho ukuthi njengoba titincane tisetaphinze tehle nasiya kuma secondary. Umuntu ke la ngakusho ukuthi singumango noma siyisociety sinemsebenzi ukuthi si understand ukuthi kukhethwa kwamake asendele imake sitendela thina singeMaswati. Sengiyaba ngikonje kulaba labancane labaphumelele sibabongele nekukhuthatha leyo mango lechubekile yathembela kumake ukuthi asimethembe make noma siya kuma secondary asingaphindi singabashiyi emuva. And lokhu ke sekuniketa umsebenzi thina silive ukuthi sithi hlale phansi sitibuke ngukuphi lapho sishiye khona singenda njani kangcono silive ekwenteni isiqiniseko sekuthi bomake baba khona ebuholini. And lokhu akusiyo into lekungathi sifuna siyicale nje ngoba sekungilomnyaka welikhetho. Lokhu lokwendekile itolo kusitshela ukuthi namhla sicale sisebenze. Lapho ubonile ketinye tindzawo makathole 3 umavoti athole mangaki uyabona lokuthi kule mango wonke kude lothemba ukuthi lo make khona lichaza la ngadlala. Endzabeni ye leadership labanye baveta ukuthi buholi asikabona sibone kubomake kunjani. Ngitibuta ukuthi lamadoda apfunze lapho lobuholi wona ngoba nawo atalwa avuke umfaka sasayena sesikolweni lesithiteni kodwa bese niyamethemba ukuthi akahamba ushaya umthetho la ngekakhona nekufunda leliphepha lelitabe libhaliwe lapha akhona ukunihumishela nineni ngala bathi siyamethemba yena kunokuthi singathemba lo make lona ema qualities ukuthi ukhone kubamba likhaya wakhulisa abantu kwakhuliswa nayo le ndoda leseniyethembile nine namuhla.
I-constitution noma umthethosisekelo welive lakangwane uveta ukuthi nangabe bomake bangalakhi lelinani lelibhekekile kuwo eParliament ekubheke ukuthi ke indaba yesikhulu bese iyadigucula seyeba likomiti lapho khona ke sekutawube sekuyabuka ukuthi nge-region ku appointwe make. Kepha-ke lokunye lesingakuveta ukuthi njengoba vele sekubonakele ukuthi solo bomake basalela ngemuva uyaveta sisicolane kokuthi kubheke kokuthi vele bachubeke nekufundisa sona sive nekokuthi ke bumcoka bekokuthi tinhlangothi tonke private sector naye uhulumende kuhlanganiswe tandla kubone lokho ukuthi in terms of budget kwendiwa njani ngoba vele kunesidingo lesikhulu sokuthi bomake bafundiseke ikakhulu naso sonke nje sive bomake bobabe nawe majaha nawe manfombatana lesingakuveta ukuthi la event akangone njengoba sivetile phambilini ukuthi kuregister emaswati langetulu kwa 500,000 kula maswati ke langetulu kwa 500,000 mhlawumbe sesingaveta ukuthi esigabeni sebucopho bomake labaphakanyisiwe esifundeni sakahoho babe ngu177 esifundeni saselibonjeni babe ngu123 bese kuthi kamanzini bang 255 esifundeni sasenshiselweni bang 226 bucopho nje isigaba sebucopho leso uyabona ke lokho ukuthi vele kusenesikhebesi lesikhulu ekuthenini bomake nabo bambanzakanyeke ekuthenini bafakwe etigabeni tebuholi.
Sebedolobheni laseSpiki sithi indlela yokubala emavoti etikhungweni la kuvotelwe khona yenda ukuthi kube bedede insolo ukuthi lukhwabanisiwe lolukhetho lesebe sithi umumvulo ongakhala athi ushayelwe esakeni ngabe uyatsetsesa impela.
Njengalokhu ngemgcibelo ebusuku kanye nangesonto ekseni bekade kubale emavoti yalabo labangenele kuba indvuna tinkundla kanye nemalungu eParliament sive sesespiki sithi le ndlela lensha yekubala inika lithemba njengalokho sikhola ukuthi kude umuntu ongakhona ganga noma mhlambe afake emavoti lekungasiwo.
Sijabule kakhulu esipiki kubona emaswati ngendlela lakaphuma ngakhona nalokuthi nalokubala kube into lenhle kakhulu because asikamuva ukuthi sizathatha libhokisi kule station sekulesinye stage kubale lana nje kwacethwa khona lana emaswati ajabula ngema results.
Ihlobe kakhulu indlela yekubala le ngoba kude lo ngakhala konke kwentiwa labalenje ungemva abone ukuthi kuhambe njani kude bugunyathi lesingakhala ngabo ukuthi kwentekile kunjanjani njengakusho nje ngathi labanye ababenqesi next time they're gonna make it.
Mina ngijabule kakhulu ngelikhetho laseSpiki bamfu baphumile emakhaya beta baphelele beta even around the town beta batovota. I am so happy bebaphelele bamfu this time around ngibone ngathi bamfu bebabaningi kakhulu kuna last time because nakhona ngangivota. Ngicabanga ukuthi kulaba labangakawini next time labawinile siyababongela kakhulu otherwise ngicabanga ukuthi ikhetho lihambe kahle nekubala kuhambe kahle everything was fair.
Hayi mina ngijabule kakhulu ukhetho libalwe kahle besivele sigadzile silinzele kuva ukuthi ngubani lo wina ngoba tiyabulala lami lankunzi tiyabulala
sekude ngakhala nje konke kubalele baleni kube clean sonke silala sijabulile.
Ngicabanga ukuthi kuyasita lokho ukuthi kubalele khona lapha angahambi lamavoti ayobalela kulenye indzawo ngoba bese lamanye ayalahleka endleleni lokho ukuthi kubalele laphana ukuthi kuze wonke umuntu atokhona kubona ukuthi abengaka vele emavoti labekhona.
Tonke notisebale nawudliwe nje udliwe baleni uvuma indvo kuhambe nawuhlaniphe ngapha kutsetsesa nje iswana.
Lesive sikulabo mhlambe labangakhona ikuphumelela ababeke phansi imimoya babe nelithemba ukuthi uyethu iminyaka wa 2028 lapho khona baphindze bathathe onemathuba etindzabeni kubika fortune dlanga amandla ngatapelo mabuza sasidolobheni eSpiki.
Kusolakala ukuthi kugagadlelwe make waphindze wabulawa enzaweni yakumasibekela ebusuku ngemgcibelo lo make abekathi yasebentela kulelinye lamakolishi laseMbabane.
Ngemgcibelo ebusuku ngesikhathi live lonke liphishana ngetindzaba telikhetho lapha enzaweni yasemasibekela ngephansi kwenkundla sesiphoqosini kwenteke ebucala lo shacisa ligogo lapho khona make longetulu kweminyaka lengama-15 kusolakala ukuthi udlwengilile wasephindze futhi uyabulawa bomakhona lo make bachaza kabanti ngalo akubonakho lokunye lokutawuvela ukuthi lawo makhona bathi lo make vele bekathe kumuntu bekathe bozidlani bavamile kumgcikezela khona lapha endlini yakhe njengomuntu ohlala yedwa
ukuthi nje ekseni ngivuka ngabona ngendla kwami kamakhelwane kuvuliwe umnyango nginalokuthi ngifuna kuyojajisa iclub ngoba mina egesi ngakami kude nangifika ngikhanza ukuthi vela ngangconcothe angentini vele ngasale ngangena ngithuswa ngilelo ukuthi ulele phasi kusimende ngicabanga ukuthi ngcenye kunegula lokumhlasele akakhona uyabona ngakhanza ukuthi nangithi ngiyangena ekamereni lakhe ngakhanza ingadi ngakhanza ingadi igcwele phasi eduke embhedze ngicadwe emakhondomu lenye ikhondomu beyiphasi ikhomba ukuthi kusho ukuthi baqale ngaloku umrape base ke bayamgeca ke noma bamgecile noma bamgwazile angaboni sengivanga labantwana nje ukuthi kunale skala enhloko bona beka sanza sicaba kodwa nje unale sonesikhathi efikile uneminyakanyana nje efikile ayidinza kade embango betikhona nizaba tembango kakhulu ngoba ngalelinye ilanga nje bebetile basibatomhlipitela nganyuka ngaya lapha kakhe ke nami lamadodza ngangasawaboni noma abantwana noma yini ngendlela bengikwate ngayo
kuyabikwa lo umthulo omdzala sogcekezelwe kane ngalahlekelwa kudla tonke tinto kepha kude lokube khona kuba ukuthi nje sayobuka kunginamuhla kusayobukwa futhi asathi lokuthi vele kutawugcina kwendekeni ngoba baningi nje bomakela abahlala bodwana kusasa namhla kwendekela kusasa kutabe kwendeke kulenye ekhaya besicela nathi lokuthi phela nake efikile emaphoyisa akabonisane naso lesive ukuthi yathi besicabanga ukuthi nani ngamane nesibambisela kube ukuthi asibambisa vele
lesikutholile tsine la kube sikhwama lesikhwama bese kuhlishidiwe ke uma ID ne-certificate nema-quotation nje nemaphepha sisethuswe ngiloko ke sase sithola nacelemba lokubonakalisa ukuthi lo busha unengadi netiboyanyana nje lokucaca ukuthi vele usenjetisiwe esigamengweni side emaqiniso sede kodwa ke nako lokukholwa nalokwethemba lokuthi lo muntu wathi udani
Umchumanisi wesive kanye namaphoyisa Superintendent Phindile Vilakati uyivumile indzaba ekushona kwalomake wasothi amaphoyisa asayiphenya imetamo yokutfola ihlobo talomake lo gcine abulewe ayikaba imbumelelo nje lokusiwa lomake bayathi ngumuntu ohlala yedwa lesikutholile bomakhelwane ukuthi bifikile tonke ihlobo takhe ngesikhathi kunemaphoyisa kusiyona lendzawo la kwente ekhaya lokucala but kude inombolo etikhona mhlambe ethi akho umsakazo okuchumana ihlobo takhe etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla ngathapelo mabuza semasibekela
Lokhetho oluncane lushiyela abanye bajabhile kanti labanye bebahlekelela kanjalo nabozopolitiki labatiwako labanye bakhale phansi kulokhetho kanti labanye baphumelele ngesemagundwane bese labanye bavele bahlobisa nje ukuthi emiphakathi yabo basabesekela
ngesikhathi kuhlanganiswa lombiko lomsakazo wosotfole ukuthi bebabathathu lawo bebakaze bamalunga eParliament labakhale phansi olukhethweni lesigaba sekucala ima-primary elections esifundeni sakaHoho ikakhulukazi ngenhla nalesifundza labanye balabo labangakaphumeleli bafaya ikhasi lo bekalunga leParliament lenkundla senzingeni Lutfo Dlamini lo bekaze alunga leParliament lenkundla semotshani Robert Magongo kanye nalo bekalunga leParliament lenkundla semadla ngempisi Sibusiso Scorpion kulabo labatindvuna tembuso ikakhulukazi labavela ngenhla nesifundza sakaHoho labaphumelele kufaya ikhasi lo lendvuna yelitiko letekulima Chabulani Mabuza kanye nendvuna ye-70 tembuso Mabulala Maseko kuletinakekile ngenhla nalesifundza tifaya ikhasi kuphumelela kwagcina amagagula luwancunya kanye nemkakhe Precious emphakatsini ebulanzeni ngephansi kwenkundla yasenzingeni gcina uhambe embili ngamavoti angu-834 bese umkakhe waba ngunumber 4 ngamavoti angu-24 lokunye lokunakekile ukuthi nalisachubeka lelikhetho kubebede igigaba telidlame esikhungweni saseHereford esikoleni kuye kwacishe kwaba nekuvana kwemandla kodwa sive sangenelela abagcina bangakashayani akulokunye labatiphilisa ngekuthengisa bebakathe badeke lokho bebakathe bakuthengisela labo base batovota ihlukahlukene ke imivo yabo ngekuthi lihambe njani ibhizinisi njengalokhu labanye kuletinye tikhungo bebekathe bathi imali abakayakhi bese kusilabanye bathi cha akukafani njengasemhleni etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla ingenhla nesifundza sakaHoho
Tinkundla letimbili Mbabane West neMbabane East dibene abantu labaphumelele elikhethweni oluncane labanye babo kube ngilabo labake bakhethwa phambilini sivesa letinkundla letimbili sithi sinelithemba lokuthi intuthuko itawuchubeka kanjalo namathuba emisebenzi yabantu labasha
Lukhetfo loluncane ema-primary elections a-2023 sekafike emaphethelweni njengoba emaswati lamanyenti lasuka kuwo onke ama-regions elive abe yingxenye yekukhetha abantu labantu abamelela esigabeni sendvuna yenkhundla kanye nelunga lephalamende. Sisesikhungweni sakaMsunduza njengoba sibuke inkundla yaseMbabane West naseMbabane East. Lesikubonile itolo ukuthi bantu labasha bebaphumile nabo bantu labadzala kepha-ke lokuhluke kakhulu itolo Ntsambama ikakhulu nasebusuku lesikubonile ukuthi bantu babese baba baningi kakhulu ngetitfuba tantsambama ikakhulu ngabo 7 njengoba letinye tikhungo tibe setithatha isikhathi lesidze kwekuthi bantu bakhone kwekuthi bafake emavoti abo njengoba tikhungo betibheke ukuthi tivale ngensimbi yesikhombisa entsambama. Kufika emaphethelweni kwalo lama-primary elections noma lolukhetfo loluncane belibandla letelikhetfo nemincele sebakhonile kwekuthi babale kwekuthi bobani labahambe embili kuto letikhungo letihlukile. Sithole lithuba lekukhulumisana naso sive lesivetile kwekuthi sinalo lithemba lokuthi this time around batawukhona kusitakale ikakhulu ehlangothini lokuthi bantu labasha bakhone ukutfola ematfuba emsebenzi, bantu labadzala bakhone kunakeka kahle, takhiwo tikhone nato kwekuthi tinakeke kahle kufaka ekhathi imigwaco nekuthi bakhone ukutfola emanti lahlandekile.
Sesiyabona khona ukuthi kuyasiza basizakala labantu abadala. Nalele nje sayibona nayo cha yasiza nanayo.
Mhlawumbe nibantu bakulendzawo ngiluphi isito lenilidzingako nje mhlawumbe ehlangothini lenifutfuko.
Sidinga siyalamba funa basize ngokudla. Basize nangomsebenzi. Umsebenzi akasitholi.
La kumahwalala nje kude intuthuko lekhona. Kude manti bantu babethu babhema tinsango ukuthi bethe national ground lokudlala ibhola. Nemanti side siwakha eticojeni. Manje ke leisha mhlawumbe betakhona ukugijima isizamele leground imisebenzi nemali.
Njengoba libandla letelikhetfo nemincele etikhungweni letinyenti likhonile lokuthi libale kungimanje simele lona libandla kokuthi likhone ukukhipha imibiko nemiphumela lengiyona yona mayelana nalolu khetfo loluncane leminyaka wa 2023.
Kodwa imidlalo indvuna yetemidlalo kuleli Harris Bulunga ithi kuyajabulisa ukubona inombolo yamaswati emtsabu ibonakala ikhula ekudlaleni umdlalo wecricket kuleli. Bulunga bekakhuluma nakasukumisa ngokusemthethweni imidlalo ye-Eswatini Bangladesh Mutual T10 Cricket League eMalkans Country Club.
Imidlalo yakuleli Harris Bulunga isukumisa ngalokusemthethweni imidlalo yekhilikithi letodlalwa ngendlela letobe kuqala ukudlala ngayo lapha eveni njengoba amaqembu todlala ema-over lalishumi letodlala amaqembu lalishumi nesithupha kuleli.
Cricket akusiyo umdlalo lomusha so uneminyaka udlalwa lakha eSwatini. Ula sesiyabona nemaswati emtsabu la udlalako ayangekwanza nawo lokuyinto lesiyijabulelako leyo. Siyabonga nje kiyo iEswatini Cricket Association emfutho le ufakako ukuthi lo mdlalo wecricket nayo uphakamise utoba sezingeni njengaleminye imidlalo lesinayo ekhaya.
Kanzi mengamelo nhlangano emidlalo yekhilikithi kuleli Ruben Nxumalo uthi bayakhuthata tinkampani letinye tisekele wona umdlalo wekhilikithi kuleli.
Bona abantu baneshisekelo ukuthi basupport lo mdlalo lona cause vele siswele kakhulu enzabeni support kuma sponsors locally nalamanye because esikhathini lesinenge abantu bacabanga ukuthi lo mdlalo lona uforeign kanti phela so njengaloku sokhona nje la kangwaneni ube khona isikhathi lesidze sekuthi maybe thina singamaswati emtsabuko.
Jafo Imam Riyad ongilomunye walabatabi badlalisa lemidlalo ubeke kanjena.
Actually, this is the first man game in T10 in Swaziland. So I actually have to give thanks Mr. Minister who come here and bright our program.
Tinkampani letingetulu kwelishumi nelesihlanu tifaka imali engi-300,000 emalangeni kanti lutawuhamba imbili yena utawuthola imali engi-20,000 emalangeni. Lobikela umsakati Eswatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini namfana futhi Bhembe eMalkens.
Yakoba Spinar senguye champion umqhudelwano wemidlalo ligaluva wenkonyeni Golf Club Champions emuva kokunqoba kuma playoffs nasebadlala nakhaya Nhlengethwa. Bopinar kanye naNhlengethwa bebabambene emidlalweni lapho bathole igross ya 161.
Uyaye ukuthi njalo ngeminyaka abadlali beligaluva labadlala ngaphasi kwelicembu lasenkonyeni bagcutselane bodwa. Nalonyaka labadlali bagcutselene kusuka ngemigcibelo lapho khona abadlali imigodzi leng36 emalangeni lamabili. Bashayine labadlali beligaluva lapho khona abagcini boYakoba Spinar kanye nakhaya Nhlengethwa babambene ngegross ya 161 lapho khona kubite ukuthi baye kuma playoffs. Spinar bese uyanqoba kuma playoffs.
So yeah, there was pressure and he was really hitting it really nicely. So when it came close to the end, it was one of those where, you know, what if, and then I buckled a little bit, but then managed to put it through at the end.
Khaya Nhlengethwa lophuma wabasenzaweni yesibili uthi sewukhohliwe ngokukhala phasi kulembela somvo sewubuka umqedzulano weKings Golf Cup lodako.
Yeah, the biggest tournament, it's the Kings Cup. To me personally, I would like to give it all, and I'm going to give it all. Like, I've started working on my game 4 weeks back, and I'm seeing the results. Just now it's hard to maintain, but I'm gonna keep working, and I would like to be at the podium for the Kings Cup, which is in 3-4 weeks.
Kanzi luhambe mbili kubomake nguYenifa Jackson yena luthole gross ya 178. Bangemashumi lamane badlali labangenelela umqhudelwano kanzi bowusekele baka Oracle Group Insurance. Lobikela umsakati Eswatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini namfana futhi Bhembe engonyeni.
Aleto temidlalo sitebukela photo nzabatethu deswati lomhla ekseni isithathu salikhefu nasibuya silabe sikhulumisana na government spokesperson kuva kokuthi likhetfo luhambe kanjani ngekusho kwaHulumende.
International Trade Fair. Eswatini TV brings you a trade fair promotion and a double celebration package. 5-minute live interview on location for only 4,600 emalangeni. A live Kusile breakfast show interview on location for as low as 3,450 emalangeni. 30 seconds complimentary message for only 12,638 emalangeni 50 cents. 30 seconds commercial advert with a minimum of 20 slots, corporate for only 659 emalangeni 15 cents. Small medium enterprise for only 332 emalangeni 72 cents. Promotion ends on the 30th of September 2023.
Ubusebiyelele wena mswati wabusa phambi kwetitha wasiyathi ndlula wasiyahlamba wasiyashashabula uyimbubu ngwenyama ngumkhokho yabalekela udla emathole ezinyathi wena waphakathi ethi
Umnyaka wa 2023 ngumnyaka lomkhulu eSwatini njengoba live lihalekisela ingwenyama yenkosi Mswati wesithathu iminyaka lengemashumi lasihlanu nesihlanu yatalwa lihlanganiswe negubha iminyaka lengama-55 live latfola amazibuse. Ugcamisa lo mkhosi lomkhulu welive, umsakazo weSwatini TV umemasive ukuthi sibukele tinhlelo letikhombisa imisebenzi yentuthuko yelive leyasukunyiswa yaphindze yasekelwa silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu lesoloyisa imamise live nalomuhla. Inhlelo tingena njalo ngelisonto ngensimbi yesine entsambama. Halala Mbangazitha, halala Eswatini.
Emaswati have heeded to the call by the head of state, His Majesty King Mswati III, to come out in their numbers and register to vote for a new government under the slogan, Ngetenga Sala Nasakhalive. Eswatini TV has also listened. Our newsroom is ready to deliver. Our journalists will be in all the polling stations in the 4 regions of the kingdom, covering live the 2023 primary elections. We'll be bringing you the events as they unfold through your traditional TV and social media platforms. The joy and disappointments, the mixed emotions, the anticipation of the unknown, and the tensions will be kept at the edge of your seats as our news crew hit the ground running as they bring you live the 2023 Eswatini primary elections.
Welcome back. Sakuvusela nalo sanza kusivulela lo mhla ehleleni Kusile breakfast show siqala lona liviki sibuya kwimpela somvo lenkulukati lapho khona live leSwatini belibambe primary elections lokhetho loluncane. Sifuna kuva ke na ngeperspective yahulumende kuva ukuthi ingabe lona lokhetho luhambe kanjani ngekubuka kwakhe hulumende. I'm joined via Zoom by government spokesperson Alpheus Nxumalo kuchazela nje ukuthi bona bangihulumende yini labayibonile. Sibonile ukuthi hulumende ukho statement itolo asho vele ukuthi lokhetho lube peaceful impela. Asivusele mngweni lomhla ekseni sibonga kakhulu ukuthi benathi lo muhla. I think nje nasiveta nje emngweni ukuthi ingwenyama yacela lokho ukuthi ina ikhulume sibayini ukuthi lokhetho lube peaceful kube bede kube bhana kube bede nemsindvo lochubekako. Kungaba kuva nje emngweni ukuthi nini nengihulumende ngaba vele mhlambe nibone ini luhambe kanjani lokhetho leminyaka wa 2023.
Siyabonga kakhulu Mthombeni kuthola lelithuba lekuvusela eMaswatini ekuseni. Kubonga kuphela amagagula singihulumende lesingakwe ukudlulisa esiveni seMaswati wisithethe isikhathi ngemgcibelo sehla senyuka etinkundleni nasemphakathini letside salubukela ukhetho soluhambe njani. Sibonile eMaswati enda lokho latiwa ngako naladume ngako uthula nenhlonipho kulabo labawinile nalabo labangawini. Sakhanza spirit sisihle kakhulu ema-results eMaswati awemukela njengoba libandla leliphethele ukhetho lwamemedela. Lokhu ke singihulumende siyakudumisa kakhulu esiveni seMaswati nebekunene ngoba ingwenyama iyicelile eMaswatini emahlandla kusinebekunene kulesikhathi selukhetho kube khona kuhloniphana nekuthula kungalahleki nanebantu. Sipose siyalucala lukhetho kulubona lolute nebantu labanengi labasilahlekele ngekuthi basonziwe sebayafuna abantu benkosi abasabona. Siyadumisa kakhulu kubo bonke laba baparticipate kule primary elections. Siyadumisa nakulo kakhulu libandla loluphethwe ukhetho luchubeke kahle kakhulu singihulumende silubona kube lukhetho lolube nato tonke timpawu tekuthula nato tonke futhi timpawu letikhomba wekuthi kube lukhetho lolukhululekile sibili.
Ngayo inombolo yesive saMaswati lesiphumile nje kuwama primary elections bese sinengi impela kubukhumbula nje ukuthi isive lesabhalisa bese ngetulo kwa 500,000 sisibonile nesive siphumile inyalo ikhefendo lincane kucala nje ku special voting sibonile 70 embuso na 30 phumile divota ngalesibili evikini lephelile na kulempela somvo sisibonile sive kutotonke tingonte live tiphumile. Ingavela mhlambe kusho ukuthini lokho nje kuhulumende ukuthi sive vele silalele umlayeto uhulumende ukuthi siphume siyovotela labo lesifisa ukuthi siyabamelela eParliament.
kusho kona nje tsathu ukuthi eMaswati aya ngikubona bumgcoka bekwakha uhulumende nekuparticipate njengoba nesicubulo besisho ukuthi ngete ngasala kwakhiwa live kwakwendiwa kwakithi aphumile eMaswati Mthombeni kusukela kwendiwa leya vote special voting night nakule weekend wawabona secitha sekalala tonke tinkundla lapho khona bekumiselwe kuvotwa nalaba beEBC ke benda umsebenzi wabo weMaswati wabalula kakhulu ngekuthi ivoting process yalonyaka bene speed lesikhulu ngempela bekude kuma sibanise bamemalayinini bantu sebagciniwe nabadzala bebangadelezi bebavele bedlule nje baconze ku-ballot box bahlabela abamhlabako bajike abantu benkosi babiyele emakhaya lokusukuma kwesive seMaswati kusikhomba ukuthi eMaswati nembala politically amotivated futhi asavuleke emehlo nekubuka kwekuthi asinawuyekelela izandlana lelitsite emangweni wethu lisakhele hulumende kuyabonakala ukuthi kusuka kulabasha kuya kulabadzala eMaswati asukumile wekuthi sonke saba mtsubi munye emasaka hulumende kuze masimbita singihulumende wethu sibe sisho ngempela ngoba sisifakile esandla kumaka lokho sikubonile futhi siyakudumisa kakhulu makakhulu
ngifuna nje mngone uphawule mhlambe ngekumeleleka kwabomake siyakhumulela ukuthi vele inkosi emsado safu nayo ihlala ikhuluma ngako kumeleleka kwabomake ihlala ekhuthatha bona bomake ukuthi bancomela abanye bomake bavotele labanye bomake phenze futhi nayo imithetho sekele nje yavetwe ukuthi vele bomake libungele bangene eParliament at least longenani 30% ke phela sikubonile kule mphela sonto akusilo kulokahle mnguni bomake solo inombolo yabo iphansi kakhulu netinhlangano nje letibonelele amalungelo abo bomake tiyakhala ukuthi vele letinombolo solo tincane bomake abafuni ukukhethana ingabe vele mhlambe nje mnguni ningathini ngaloko ningihulumende ukuthi vele solo lenzaba isadinga ukukhulunyiswa kakhudlwana
kunjalo makakula vele kuyabonakala ukuthi indzaba yekugugutela ukukhethwa kwabomake sekufuneka ukuthi kube yi-civic education lechubekako nato lenhlangano njengoba kusho letinto nathi gugutela ukukhethwa kwabomake kuye kusuke bese kukhuduleka tinyawo kakhulu babinze 5 years wonke kutawusike ngalomnyaka welukhetho bese sekuyasubunywa ke vutu sincane isikhathi na utawushintsha i-narrative na utawushintsha ukucabanga kwebantu within 12 months mina ngingagqugqutela nje nekuncoma wekuthi lenhlangano atsuyekela loku-engage kusifundzisa sisive lokuthi kumgcoka kangakanani kusinabo make balidlale lichaza eParliament nakutotonke nje inhlango sitebuholi ingwenyama ke lokho iyakwenda kadzeni futhi ke uyayibona nema-appointment lawo liwendako kufulfilla luhlangosi lwangakayo constitution kwekuthi bomake vele iyaye yento eshoye kunene ukuthi bakhona sengisithi nesive la kubonakala kunala ma gaps khona lengithi ke ngicabanga ukuthi atawunciphiswa ukuthi asisuyibinza lenzaba kuze kufike isizini yelukhetho lokuthi bomake kufanele bangene elukhethweni la sesikhona khona ke lo mhlathazi wethu sengaba vele kuqela nje kuona emavoters bekunene ukuthi awu labo lesikubonakala ukuthi baphumelele phela bekunene kuma primaries amane esive sibe nemusa sakhe iParliament lebalansako sakhe iParliament litawuhlonishwa nangumhlaba kubona ukuthi bakangwane balibambile lunyawo lwemhlaba lekuthi bomake abalibambe lichaza etikhundleni tebuholi nekwekuthi ke dzatso yethu eMaswati atawukhumbula ukuthi sikhona sidleshanyana na constitution lesikhona lesitawuthi mase kukhethiwe sekuphele ukuthi kubonakala kwekuthi cha ungasivele ngalapha bomake ihlabe phasi ngeliphondo kutase kuyendiwa lo ndlela lokwendiwe ngayo na kule Parliament lephelele kuthi bese bahamba bawufrathiwa bomake babe bane lokungenani baqhamuka ku region uzama ukuthi kumbathiseke leso sikhebe sesikhona
Lolu nhlangothi mngoni lolubalekile kile elikhethweni yiyo indzaba yabantu labasha kanye nebantu labakhubatekile sibabonile ke abantu labasha nabo balungenela likhetfwe kakhulukazi nje na kuma nominations sayibona nje injabulo yabo ukuthi labanye bebaceza nje ukuthi na 18 years bebakujabulele ukuthi nabo bataba ingcenye yelikhetfo nabo abantu labakhubatekile sababonile. I think nalokunye nje lokujabulisa ukuthi iBC wamemetela ukuthi batawunika bamfu labakhubatekile imisebenzi lengu-80 ingavela mhlambe angathini nje uhulumende ngako ku-inclusion yabantu labakhubatekile kanye nabantu labasha elikhethweni.
Nakubo Dzadzewethu sibonile emehlo ahlaba phasi. I-position yahulumende nakhona ingaphosi ibe yinye. Nakubo i-civic education kufuna siyende wonke lo 5 years singemeli isizini yelikhetho. Ngoba kuyabonakala ukuthi eMaswati mhlawumbe asengakabange nebumqoka bakoloko. Nekwekuthi ke Dzadzewethu mhlawumbe onke letinto letendekako nje kusala kwala ma sections society lo abalako. Usaqinisa yona sidingo nenkhomba sekuthi nembala mhlawumbe kuyawudzingeka ukuthi lama appointments lentiwa ingwenyama sale letinombolo tawo nawo athi kuvula-vuleka kancane kulabo 10 nabo 20 ngoba kuyabonakala kwekuthi nembala ayasala ema-sections lathite la-critical eMaswati. Kanzi lokuthi eMaswati akubeka lokuthi yabe singwenyama yabuka kwekuthi kusele ngala seyilula sandla yekunene iyalekelela. Kodwa nasetithi incane kakhulu nato letinombolo takaba yethe nakwakhiwa le parliamente sekuqhubeka kuyaqhuda noma seyendile yekunene kuyasho kwekuthi ngoba nawe eMaswati sola nebulukhuni phela kwekuthi asiyifulfile le responsibility ukuthi naba abantu banemgcondo nabo imane ngumtimba dinyama letibonakala sithi khinya betekile lapha nalapha kodwa ingcondo ikhona iyasebenza futhi bangaba neligalelo ekusiteni live. Sekwethemba lokho nje Dzadzewethu ukuthi phela nayo iParliament ithi mase ihlangene ibe nelithuba lekukhetha emalunga lamanye eParliament la endlini yeSenate lalishumi. Akususebenza letimali lesibona tisebenta kuthengwa lamasithi kuthengiswa lamasithi lang-10. Nawo abakhelwe kona lamasithi ukuthi kubonakale ukuthi basele bomakela kude labakhubatekile la bese ke kuyapheshwa bayafakwa labo bantu. Sekwanjinja ke lamhla kwabalidayisi lemali lesikucelako kule parliament lengenayo kusinabakithi abamane leyo provision leyo bayisebenzisele lokho leyakhelwe kona. Kwekuthi kubonakala inhlangothi letingakangene elukhethweni eParliament bese kuyafakwa kuze ikwati iParliament yelive kusima nebakangwane.
Kumbe kungaba nje kuthatha nje mnguni sisaya nje elikhethweni elikhulu ama-secondary elections lokho ukuthi bomcoka nje ukuthi sive sikhethe abantu labaqotho labathemba ukuthi bantu abamelela mbamba eParliament bangakhethi nje abantu mhlambe labavana nabo mhlambe emimangweni. Ngabe kubaleka ngane nokuthi vele umuntu abamkhethako bambukisise ukuthi vele utawenda lo msebenzi lodingekile ukuthi abamelela kahle indvele eParliament.
Uqinisele kakhulu Mthombeni akumcoka kakhulu lokho eMaswatini kwekuthi nebekunene umuntu okunika liphalishi nesengwa nempuphu nerice nemali kuthathe ukusebenzise lokho uhamba elukhethweni emva kwalela bhokisi ukhethe umuntu locotho nemlombonako kwekuthi utayibambisa live nenkosi kuleminyaka lesihlanu ledala. Ikakhulu njengoba Mthombeni phela emalunga eCabinet futhi kule live akachamki ngaphandle kweParliament. Aqhamuka ekhathe eParliament asivami kulamanye amave cabinet ministers ayaqhamuka ngaphandle kweParliament. Kodwa la kithi inkosi wenyula ekhathe endlini yeParliament ngawuke kumgcoka nekuthi nanikhetha nebakangwane nathi nekuthi nikhetha umuntu longaba nayo necapacity ukuthi awende umsebenzi welive at cabinet level kungaba ukuthi nje sihlobo sami noma songiphela phalishi umkhulu yamsebenzi wabaseParliament uMatima futhi yamsebenzi wabaseParliament ubona ngalama results indlela lendeke ngayo kwekuthi kukhona bokucabanga ukuthi upredicteka uyabona ukuthi there is no guarantee for these elections kwekuthi kubuya abani kwinabani ngakho ke asithi apply singeMaswati ukukhipha equality lengiro letawusita live nekubambisana nengwenyama ekuholeni lelive kule minyaka lesihlanu nebekunene.
No, ngiyavakala sibonga isikhathi sakho Mngweni lomhla ekseni. Njengoba usho nje ukuthi vele lo uyasho nje Mngweni ukuthi vele likhetho lihambe kahle primary elections. Ingabe vele uyasinikeza isiqiniseko sokuthi konke kuhambe kahle kube bede imisindvo lebekhona.
Kuhambe kahle kakhulu utsaswethu konke netivunguvungu letifikile umoya waphatamisa lapho bekubalwa khona kukhethelwa khona sichumene nesecretariat yeBC Idolo basinika isiqinisekiso singuhulumende ukuthi cha konke kumanageke ngendlela yakhona lomhla nema results ebengaphumi ngoba ekube khona nelemanye ama constituencies lapho bese kudzingeka khona ukuthi kubalwe ngetandla vele emanywane ngoba imishini bese yaphazamiseka kodwa lo mhla njoba kumsombuluko nje base lilanga lekugcina onke ema results ayaphuma kuto tonke tindzawo la kuvotelwe khona kubebethe netihibe letingakanani konke kuhambeka ngemumo umthombeni.
No, ngiyavakala sibonga kakhulu Mngweni isikhathi sakho lomhla ekseni imbukeli bekunguyekelo ye-Alpha Nxumalo lo government spokesperson asiniketa nje isithombe ngekusho kwahulumende ukuthi lukhetho lema primary elections luhambe kanjani. Sitabahlete makethe nasibuya sithatha i-traffic update.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo even.
Kulapho kukhuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bomcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya.
Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
'23 International Trade Fair. Eswatini TV brings you a trade fair promotion and a double celebration package. 5-minute live interview on location for only 4,600 emalangeni. A live Kusile breakfast show interview on location for as low as 3,450 emalangeni. 30 seconds complimentary message for only 12,638 emalangeni 50 cents. 30 seconds commercial advert with a minimum of 20 slots, corporate for only 659 emalangeni 15 cents. Small medium enterprise for only 332 emalangeni 72 cents. Promotion ends on the 30th of September 2023.
Asimze silemukele sakuvuselana lo sanza kusivulela kulesikhathi sidabuka simo semgwaco lomhla ekseni na Sergeant Kule makabana sikuvuselele lomhla ekseni ngabe kuhambeka kanjani emgwacweni.
Kutsho ngumntwako anguvusele Thombeni ngivusele umbukelo welihlelo nasibuka umthamo wemodolo emgwacweni sowuvele ukhombisa kona kuphakama kwatitho ukuthi ngumvulo wonke ubhekisa emabombo indzaweni tekusebenza. Kanti-ke kulonye hlangothi nabo labahamba ngezinyawo babonakala inombolo zabo tingilethele ziphakama kosibili kugcizelela nje emalangeni lamahle ukuthi sichubeke sinakekelane sihloniphe tona impawu zemgwaco lesikunaka-ke emadolobheni ethu lamakhulu uyawukhumbula kwalelo muhle ukuthi sibe nemoya lomatima ikakhulukazi kuyo impelasonto lokwente-ke ukuthi tifanele letiningi singasebenzi emadolobheni letinye tato atisito lesisebenta kahle ekhathi nje edolobheni lasembabane nawuqhamuka lapha ngase-police station noma-ke kubo-buildings uhamba ngayo Dr. Shayi noma-ke sozisa road ungena ikhathi edolobheni lakhona embabane leto tibane leto tephukile bese-ke kwenta ukuthi kulabo labaqhamuka khona e-buildings labangena edolobheni kungabi lula kubona ukuthi nembala tivulile yini kepha-ke nawubuka ngesekudla lapha buqadlwana nje-ke sikhona sinye isibane lesisebendako asinakisise sisasonzela-ke kuleyo ngcingwana leyo kanjalo-ke netibane leti lapha e-Atlas noma-ke esibhedlela atisebenzi leto tibane leto ekuseni nalapha-ke eceleni kwase-Superstar lapha e-Corporate Base atisebenzi naleto tibane leto ekuseni kanti lapha edolobheni lakaManzini liningi laletibane leti lakhathi edolobheni vele atisebenzi inhlobo timnyama nje siyawuqhubeka sibashayeli siniketana wona emathuba kwatise kokuthi umahlanganandlela lapho tingasebenzi khona tibane siniketana emathuba lofike kuqala ahloniphe loyo lomunye kanjalo siyawukhona-ke ukuhamba ngendlela leyawuba kuleyo lephephile siyakholwa-ke ukuthi ngekuphakama kwelilanga siyawubuyela sibe ngileto lesijayelekile kanti-ke lapha enhlangano nakumathapha sisebenza kahle tibane tethu lesingakugcizelela nje amalangeni amahle ngiko ukuthi awube kunene siyawukhumbula ukuthi imigocelo eminingi yethu ayikho esimeni lesikahle lekufaka ekhathi yona-ke imithweko yaphasi nekwena ecadzini kwayo nako lokho kuyabonakala lekwenta ukuthi ngalesinye isikhathi kube likhuni ukuhlolisisa indlela bese-ke litumane asilehlise libe ngilelo leliyawuba eliphansi kakhulu nemfuyo soliyabonakala emigwaqweni siyagcizelela kakhulu kubanikazi bemfuyo ukuthi abayikhweshise imfuyo emgwaqweni siyawuphepha sibe semaswati ngekwenta kanjalo kungaba ngiloko nje ekuseni sithi nje kube lilanga lelihle ke nisachubeka nemsebenzweni endlini umsakazo naso size semaswati sisifisile lona lilanga lelihle yebona leliphephile sisayisebenzisa imigwaqo elihle siyabonga kakhulu.
Sibakhulu kule lo mhla ekuseni ngaloyo mbiko it's 4 minutes before 7 sitaba emakethe sibuye nema international news.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds, full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, to feel the rush of life overwhelm you, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. You ask, and we give you the royal experience. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. There are but a few places on earth so special, so unique, and so spectacular, where it becomes the rite of passage for the ambitious travelers, the courageous souls, to all have the one and only royal experience. That day when you look deep into your heart and leap into an ancient world so very different from your own, where magic, beauty, and love are shared forever. Then you will have a royal experience. There is just one place on earth where the people make you feel a part of their kingdom, where you just might volunteer to to awaken spirits, enrich minds, and work alongside communities to build, motivate, and inspire. This is truly the royal experience. When you dream of a different world, beyond the ordinary, beyond time, discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
Welcome back. It's 7 o'clock. Let's take a look at international news. A white man driven by racial hatred shot dead 3 black people in a Florida discount store on Saturday before taking his own life after a standoff with police.
Here in Jacksonville, the aftermath of a fatal shooting. Moments earlier, in what police have described as a racially motivated hate crime, a white man shot dead 2 men and a woman before taking his own life. All of the victims are black. The killing has sent shockwaves through the community.
The people in this community, they're hurting, and they have every right to. This right here today was a tragedy.
Jacksonville's sheriff said the shooter, believed to have acted alone, had written several manifestos for media, law enforcement and his parents, detailing his hatred for black people.
The weapons that the shooter used today are a Glock and an AR-15 style rifle. This is a dark day in Jacksonville's history. Any loss of life is tragic, but the hate that motivated the shooter's killing spree adds an additional layer of heartbreak. There's no place for hate in our community.
The suspect has not yet been identified. President Biden has been briefed on the incident. Meanwhile, federal officials have opened a civil rights investigation and are pursuing the attack as a hate crime. Mass shootings have become disturbingly common in the US. There have been more than 469 so far this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive. The attack in Jacksonville bears resemblance to a shooting last year in Buffalo, where self-declared white supremacist Peyton Gendron killed 10 black people.
At least 3 U.S. Marines have been killed after an Osprey aircraft crashed during military exercises in northern Australia. They were being taken to Australia's Melville Island in the latest of a series of multi-nation training drills.
The rescue operation base, Darwin Airport. Trauma teams preparing the life-saving equipment in the midst of a complicated rescue mission. It involves back and forth helicopter missions to the remote island of Melville as they continue to bring back the injured. It's situated just off the mainland of the Northern Territory. It's here where the US Osprey aircraft crashed at the start of a 10-day joint military exercise.
After 9 a.m, our Joint Communications Centre received reports of an aircraft crashing on Melville Island, around 2 kilometres inland near Pico-Taramal. Those injured are 23 US Marine Corps soldiers, and we are doing everything we can to return them safely back to Darwin for treatment.
We're told the American Marines were being taken for training in an Osprey carrier aircraft like this one. They were involved in a series of multi-nation training drills, this time involving 2,500 troops on the island.
A US aircraft was involved in Exercise Predators Run.
Australia's Prime Minister gave this brief update.
This is a difficult incident. We're responding fully, and our priority is on providing every assistance possible.
Since the summer, the US and Australia have been involved in military exercises with several Far East countries to show force and unity in the face of an increasingly assertive China. This is the second deadly incident. Just a month ago, a helicopter crashed off the coast of Darwin, 4 Australian soldiers killed. On the ground at Darwin Airport, efforts are continuing to get urgent treatment for those still injured on the island.
Russia says the remains of Yevgeny Prigozhin, leader of the Wagner mercenary group, were confirmed among the dead from a fatal plane crash last week in Russia.
Russian authorities confirmed that an August 23rd fatal plane crash killed Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin. He was listed as one of 7 passengers and 3 crew members aboard the doomed flight, all of whom were reported dead by Russian state media. Investigators said Sunday that they identified Prigozhin's remains in the crash. Russian Investigative Committee spokesperson Svetlana Petrenko said through molecular genetic examinations, all 10 reported dead in the crash matched the listed flight sheet. The fatal crash came 2 months to the day after Prigozhin led a failed mutiny during which his mercenaries drove to within 200 kilometers of the capital, Moscow. Prigozhin's Wagner mercenaries had been fighting alongside Russian troops in the country's war in Ukraine. At the time, Russian President Vladimir Putin had this to say of the boldest threat to his reign since he took power nearly a quarter-century ago.
What we are facing now is treason. Unreasonable ambitions and personal interests led to treachery, state treason, and betrayal of our own people and common cause, which Wagner fighters and commanders fought and died for alongside our units and brigades.
What caused the flight carrying Prigozhin to fall from the sky remains a mystery, but the Pentagon recently shot down one theory explaining the crash.
We don't have any information to indicate right now. The press reporting stating that there was some type of surface-to-air missile that took down the plane. That we assess that information to be inaccurate.
And while Putin has yet to publicly take credit for involvement in Prigozhin's death, U.S. President Joe Biden says it's unlikely to have happened without Putin's blessing or knowledge. Officially, the Kremlin denies having anything to do with downing the plane, as it now continues waging war on Ukraine without one of its key cornerstones in the form of the Wagner Group led by Prigozhin.
Gabon cut internet access and announced a nightly curfew as voting drew to a close on Saturday, and opposition leader Albert Ondo also denounced fraud in his battle for the presidency against incumbent Ali Bongo Ondimba.
Tensions were already high as people cast their ballots in Gabon. But as voting drew to a close on Saturday, the situation took a turn for the worst.
Being aware of the dangers of false information and manipulation on these platforms, the government of the Gabonese Republic has decided to suspend internet access nationwide from today until further notice. Also, in order to prevent any excuses and preserve the security of the entire population, a nationwide curfew has been decreed and will be enforced from this Sunday, August 27th, until further notice.
The announcement comes after opposition leader Albert Ondo Ossa went live on social media, calling on Ali Bongo Ondimba to step down. The candidate for the Alternance 2023 party accuses the incumbent and his supporters of electoral fraud. The internet blackout and curfew were just some of several hiccups on voting day. Saturday was marked by major delays, with voters in the Gabonese capital complaining of polling stations opening late. The run-up to elections has also been tense. The opposition has voiced concern about a recent constitutional change to abolish 2 rounds of voting. Bongo and Ondo Ossa lead the race of 14 candidates vying for the top job in the oil-rich Central African state. The incumbent is looking to secure a 3rd term, extending his family's 56-year hold on power.
Zimbabwe's re-elected President Emmerson Mnangagwa suggested on Sunday that those people questioning the results of last week's election, which an opposition leader dismissed as a gigantic fraud, take their case to court.
These supporters of President Emmerson Mnangagwa celebrate moments after Zimbabwe's Electoral Commission announced that he had secured a 2nd term.
Mnangagwa Emmerson Dambudzo of ZANU-PF party has received more than half the number of valid votes cast in the presidential election. Therefore, Mnangagwa Emmerson Dambudzo of ZANU-PF party is declared duly elected President of the Republic of Zimbabwe.
But the result was quickly called into question by the opposition, Citizens Coalition for Change, which secured 44% of the vote. In a post on X, previously Twitter, a CCC spokesperson said,
"We reject any result hastily assembled without proper verification."
Meanwhile, voter intimidation and the banning of opposition rallies were among concerns voiced by regional and international observers.
Curtailed rights and a lack of level playing field led to an environment that was not always conducive to voters making a genuine and informed choice in Zimbabwe's 2023 harmonized election. The passing of regressive legal provisions and acts of violence and intimidation resulted ultimately in a climate of fear.
The ruling party has denounced observer findings. Voting in the elections was extended by a day in some wards, following the late distribution of ballot papers. Nelson Chamisa, who leads the opposition CCC, alleged that delays were a case of voter suppression.
Ours is a world of adults living longer and doing more in their advanced years. Many politicians are staying in office well past typical retirement ages, with the U.S. facing two of the country's oldest frontrunners for president.
At 90, Cameroon's Paul Biya is the world's oldest leader. This is him at last year's U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, seemingly confused, as an aide tells him the audience is awaiting his speech.
You mean I should speak now? Where?
You can do it sitting down.
Why?
Biya has served as president for 40 years after getting Parliament to extend his term of office and then to eliminate term limits. VOA spoke to Cameroonians and blurred their faces out of safety concerns.
I think that being led by such an old person, he's not aware of the problems that young people are suffering from.
Whether you're 30 or 50 years old, anyone can serve out their term and leave. But when you come and take power as if you were royalty, that's not good.
At 86, Pope Francis doesn't run a country, but he does rule the world's Catholics. Does age matter? From Costa Rica.
I make that exception because he is a religious leader. Maybe with political figures, I would feel uncomfortable.
From Ecuador.
I believe that years bring experience that people can use to serve others.
From Colombia.
Not so much a limit on the ruler, but also a limit on the age of the people who advise them.
Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei, at 84, is the longest-serving leader in the Middle East, serving since 1989. Iranian Americans had this to say about the octogenarian.
In the regime of the Islamic Republic, the problem is not the age of the leader, but the system is the problem.
The world of the 21st century is the world of youth, and with the knowledge that exists today, they are the ones who should do the important things.
In 2024, the United States could elect its oldest president ever. On Election Day, President Joe Biden will be 81. And Donald Trump, the frontrunner for the Republican nomination, will be 78. Both have shown signs of aging. The current president now uses a shorter set of retractable stairs for Air Force One. He also often uses note cards to avoid verbal gaffes.
Everyone feels welcome.
Generation Z includes the country's youngest voters, interviewed on the campus of the University of North Carolina.
When you start getting older, there's a lot of health risks, and you don't want a world leader to just all of a sudden just go down, like heart attack.
It depends on how open-minded a person is.
A study published by Oxford University Press says that older leaders who are, quote, senile can reinforce negative stereotypes about aging. But older leaders can also surprise people by showing they are mentally and physically fit for office.
Tens of thousands of people rallied in Niamey on Saturday in support of last month's coup, a day after the country's new military rulers gave France's ambassador to Niger 48 hours to leave the country.
Behind the anti-tank barriers, a line of Nigerian soldiers guard the French military base. This is what they face, hundreds of protesters in the capital, Niamey, threatening to storm the site if troops don't depart the former colony within a week. The base has been attacked once before. But it's a carnival atmosphere here, exactly a month since the democratic government was toppled. The new rulers only allow rallies supporting the junta, and Russia too, which seeks to exploit the crisis.
We're ready to give our lives for our country. The day the deadline passes in 10 days, we'll penetrate their base. It's true that there will be deaths, but the most important thing for us is that they leave.
There are 1,500 French soldiers still in the country, the focus on fighting the terrorist threat from Islamist militants. A different demand came via the weekend state TV news, broadcasting an official letter from the regime to Niger's ambassador to France, ordering him to leave the country by Sunday night, accusing him of refusing an invite to meet his new bosses. But these coup leaders have no authority, was a response from French officials. They'll only deal with the government of Mohamed Bazoum, here in the white, still imprisoned inside his presidential palace. A delegation of West African leaders allowed a brief visit a week ago. The ECOWAS group is hoping more talks will convince the junta to stand down, but reiterates the threat of military intervention.
The region is employing other elements of its instruments and engaging with the military authorities. We are hopeful that these diplomatic efforts will yield the desired outcome and make it unnecessary for the deployment of the force.
A month on, some normality of life in the capital, a life under economic sanctions and power cuts. Nigerians wait, pawns in a geopolitical deadlock, with no sign of any breakthrough.
2024 presidential race, former President Donald Trump's electability is again being questioned after he surrendered to authorities in Georgia in an election fraud case. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden's age remains a concern among Democrats.
Days after the Atlanta jail booking of former President Donald Trump made headlines around the world, his political ambitions are again under scrutiny. Trump currently faces 91 criminal charges across 4 indictments. Among his contenders for the Republican presidential nomination, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who was interviewed on ABC's This Week show, suggested that Trump is a liability for his party.
The majority of my competitors believe that you can have a convicted felon as our nominee for president, and that they'd support that and that he could win. I think that's an impossibility.
Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, who alongside Christie participated last week in their party's first debate, acknowledged Trump's achievements when interviewed on NBC's Meet the Press.
I want to build on the foundation that Trump laid. Frankly, I will invite him as an advisor and a mentor. I don't want to relearn the same lessons. I want to pick up where he left off.
Trump's legal problems won't be a part of President Joe Biden's 2024 re-election campaign strategy. The Biden campaign's co-chair, Cedric Richmond, told ABC.
What I will say about President Biden and Vice President Harris is that they have always focused on the American people. So they're going to continue to do their jobs of bringing down costs, raising wages, rebuilding the middle class.
But as President Biden's age continues worrying Democratic voters, independent Senator Bernie Sanders, who appeared on NBC, suggested turning the focus to what's at stake in the policy arena.
Do you believe that women have a right to control their own bodies? Well, the president has been strong on that. Do you think that climate change is real? Or do you agree with the Republicans that it's a non-issue?
Meanwhile, Trump, who has denied all wrongdoing, is betting on using his criminal probes to advance his 2024 presidential bid. That includes promoting his mugshot, which is being printed on all kinds of merchandise for fundraising purposes.
The world's major tech titans must crack down on illegal content and keep European users safe online from Friday, when far-reaching EU rules force digital firms to fall into line.
It's one of the world's most far-reaching set of rules designed to clean up what people see online. The first phase of the EU's Digital Services Act has entered into force for some of the biggest online companies.
Basically, what consumers can expect is that it's not just online platforms who make the rules anymore. How content is deleted, reinstated, moderated. Now there are rules on how to do that, how to report on that.
The 19 tech giants, with more than 45 million active users within the EU, include search engines Bing and Google, e-commerce sites such as Amazon, Zalando and Alibaba, and social media platforms like Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest and Twitter, now known as X. The new rules require them to give users more control, like opting out of recommended posts based on profiling and making it easier to flag harmful content. Targeted ads for teenagers are now banned. E-commerce sites have to have procedures to remove illegal goods. Firms are obliged to share some internal data with regulators and associated researchers.
My services and I will now be very, very rigorous to check that systemic platforms comply with the DSA. We'll be investigating and sanctioning them if not the case.
Any firm found in breach of the rules faces a fine of up to 6% of its global revenue or even a ban on operating in the EU. The new rules are set to apply to all online services doing business in Europe by February next year.
Farmers evicted from a south-central Los Angeles community garden in 2006 are continuing to help people grow their own food in California's Central Valley. Gina Dulot has our story on a farming program helping undeserved communities with fresh and affordable produce.
This plaque near a newly built business in an industrial area of South Los Angeles reminds the passers-by about the South Central Farm, where more than 300 families grew their own food between 1994 and 2006. When the city sold this land and evicted those farmers in 2006, it was national news as crops were flattened in what was then the country's largest urban community garden. Carmen Gaspar had a plot there.
The majority of people were retired and elderly. Also, a lot of kids who could run freely in the garden and play. Also, teenagers who were participating in farming instead of being on the street, risking getting involved with drugs. That place had so much potential.
Now she drives more than 170 kilometers each weekend to this land near Bakersfield, California, where the nonprofit South Central Farmers Health and Education Fund, formed by evicted farmers, received a donation from a local landowner to buy 32 hectares of land and raised money for electric and water systems. Here, First Peoples Land activist Teso Somok says they're teaching Mesoamerican farming practices.
We don't use a lot of big machinery. We still use a lot of earth-based or, like our ditch system, our furrow system is not the kind, it's not the same as what they do here. Those are like cultural practices that we use, like spacing, how much space do you need per plant is a very old way of doing things. Here, they just load everything up really dense and they just pump it full of chemicals, right?
Brothers Angel and Jesse Rodriguez spent Fridays and Saturdays of their summer break learning farming here. 13-year-old Jesse looks forward to having his own plot one day.
I want to harvest like the stuff that I like eating, like watermelons and stuff. Yeah, watermelon is really my favorite.
Since 2007, the South Central Farmers Cooperative has been delivering fresh and affordable produce to underserved communities in Los Angeles. Working with the local mutual aid organization Farm to Power, the cooperative provides produce for a monthly free pantry in Los Angeles neighborhoods. Elliot Snow is one of their volunteers.
We make sure to buy all the produce from them. Like I said, they are very generous and they give us like probably 5 to 10 extra boxes each time we do a pantry because I think they like the work that we do and they want to contribute as well.
The South Central Farm Community Garden was originally created to give those who can't afford to buy fresh produce the means to grow their own food. With higher costs for land and water in Los Angeles, Teso Somok says keeping that mission alive means working this land in San Joaquin Valley.
FIFA suspended Luis as president of Spain's Football Federation on Saturday for kissing Spanish Women's World Cup player Jenny Hermoso on the lips and banned him from making contact with her.
The moment now known as Kissgate, a story that's getting uglier by the day. The conduct of this man, Football Federation chief Luis Rubiales, after Spain won the World Cup, is under intense scrutiny. The achievement of the women's team reaching the pinnacle of the sport now overshadowed. Events snowballing in a week. The organisation's president originally apologised, first for grabbing his crotch in the royal box when the match finished, then for kissing the striker Jenny Amoso on the lips, claiming it was consensual. In the midst of celebrating, Jenny issued a statement saying it wasn't and was unacceptable. Calls for him to resign grew, and Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez stepped in, saying the apology wasn't enough. Then, at an extraordinary summit for the organisation, Mr. Rubiales claimed he was the victim of social assassination, false feminism, and that he'd asked for a little peck, and Jenny agreed. On resigning,
well, I'm going to tell you something. I'll not resign. I'll not resign. I'll not resign.
Hours later, this indignant response from the women's leading all-time goalscorer.
I felt vulnerable and the victim of an impulsive, sexist, out-of-place act, and without any consent on my part.
The whole of Spain's women's team are now refusing to play unless Rubiales resigns. Rubiales! It's triggered protests on the federation's doorstep too, but the organisation is now threatening to sue Jenny Amoso, claiming she is lying.
The Spanish Football Association will show that these are lies that are being spread, either by someone on behalf of the player or, if applicable, by the player herself.
Despite support from football's national body, in the latest extraordinary twist, the world's governing body, FIFA, has now announced it's suspending Luis Rubiales for 90 days as he faces disciplinary action. Government ministers have even described it as football's Me Too moment, with male behaviour now under the spotlight.
It's 25 minutes after 7. We've come to the end of our international news. Thank you for staying with us. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll be speaking to Police Information and Communications Officer Pindile Vilagati. Let's leave you with the weather.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
Asimenzele sinemukele ngo-28 minutes after 7 sekuvusele nawo lo sanza kuzivulela ehlelweni lethu lomhla kumsombuluko sibuka nje ukuthi impela somvo ihambe kanjani njengoba ukukhumbula ukuthi bekuyimpela somvo lephithitela kakhulu even njengoba bekunama primary elections labekabanjwe even lonke sevese Eswatini siphumile ngebuningi baso sayovota kanjalo ke namaphoyisa bekathe konke isiqiniseko sokuthi sivele siphumile siphephile khona emigwaqweni nasetindzaweni lapho bekuvotwa khona sifuna ukuva ke kuya superintendent phindile vela kade ukuthi ingabe vele yona impela somvo ihambe kanjani amaphoyisa akhonile nivele kuphephisa sive nemibiko nje lebikiwe etigameko letendekile kule mphela somvo phiko saba ngusube nasi namhla ekseni I think ukuva vele nje ukuthi impela somvo ihambe kanjani sathi ukuthi bakuphithitela live maliphithitela kangaka kuba kuningi mhlambe le mibiko leyo lebikwa I think sebonile njana setindzabeni interceded for disbikela ukuthi sekwendeke lokhu kepha nje nasiva ngane amaphoyiseni ukuthi ingabe impela sombo vele ihambe kanjani nje nasibuka overall.
Siyabonga kakhulu Thombeni, siyavusela kuso sonke sive sakangwane ekseni. Sibonga ukuthi namhla sikhuluma ngomsombuluko sibiya kule mphela sonto lebeni imisebenzi lehlukehlukene kakhulu kade umsebenzi lomkhulu wekuncoma noma wekukhetha ukuvota lobo wendeka ngemgcibelo etindzaweni tonke. Siyawukhumbula ke tatwethu ukuthi kucale umoya lomkhulu ebusuku bangalesihlanu waphathamisa ke tindvo letiningi kakhulu kade etindleleni tekuhamba nakubogeza. Kepha ke akukayi ngaleso simo sikhonile kubambisana nato tonke tinhlangothi letitsindzekako imigwaco yavuleka bogezi letiningi tindzawo babuya kwakhona ukuthi umsebenzi uhambe kahle sibili siboneke nesive sitheleka ngetinkani kuto tonke tikhumulo betela kona kutovota bantfu ke nasebaba nengi lokwendekako siyabonga nje siveni indlela lebe basibambise ngayo sibone inhlonipho lenkulu eMaswatini kule mpela sonto etindzaweni letehlukehlukene labe sisicela bente lokho nangempela bakwende siyatfumisa kakhulu kulokunye futhi lesikunakile bebabanengi nalabasha siyathi ukuthi nakunesha ke ngalesi isikhathi bese kubana lesihushuhushu akukayi ngeke lokho bachubekile batiphatha kahle bakhona ke lababonakele sebanatha dvutana nato tikhumulo lokuphathamisako komsebenzi sibona ukuthi ke lapho kubanjisene labadzala kuleto tindzawo bebakhuta lokho kugcine vele umsindvo ubeya phasi ebucaleni ke nakhona kuncane ke lesikubonile bakhona nje lobo sothola ukuthi sebafuna kushutha khona la ngekhathi la kusetshendelwa khona kanike akwendiwa akukavumeleki sikhulumisane ke nabo kulokunye vele kucale kube nako kungaboni ngasolinye kepha nasigcine sifika ekuvumelaneni bakhona ke nalabo bonakele sebanathe khona la ngekhathi sebalwisa nawo amaphoyisa nako ke akukabi indvo lembi kangakanani si understandile nje ukuthi awu injabulo vele naseyisetulu kuyendeka lokho lomunye uze wagicitana naloliphoyisa noko ke kude lolimele kuleso sigameko sinaye ke nemfana lo neminyaka lengu-21 logcina aboshelwa kushaya yona ikhumbi lebeyisebenta kuleyo ndzawo alima delfastelo naloko siyakwekhuta ke likusaseni ukuthi phela kungabe sekuba netindvo letihambisana nalolidlame tigcine tiphathamisa lemisebenzi cishe ngaba ngiloko nje ngakulo msebenzi lomkhulu ukuthi kuhambe kahle sibili ukhonakele ukuthi sisitakale sive sasisita sasikhanyisela ngemalambu sekubalwa kulandzela ukuthi kuletinye tindzawo gezi bekude siyatfumisa kakhulu konke lokho kubanjiswa sive
siselapha nje phiko kuleye kuhamba kwakagesi ngalesihlanu kulandzela sona lesiphepho lesendekile I think tindzawo letiningi nje lapha even betide gesi and mangabe simo sikanjalo I think labanye babe sebathola lithuba lokuthi bahambe mhlambe bayogcekeza kuphi ngalokho kusuke kumnyama vele nemalambo ama street lights awasebenzi ngabe vele mhlambe kukhona nemibiko lenitfolile ukuthi sekugcekeze lapho sekwente umonakalo kuphi ngeke ubona ukuthi live lemnyama.
Siyabonga kakhulu Thombeni asathi ukuthi ngabe kulesikhathi lesikuye ngani ukuthi sibete tindvo letinjengaleto kuyayi kwendeke ngalesinye isikhathi but nje siyabuka ukuthi cishe ifocus leningi yayi kulo msebenzi wangemgcibelo mhlambe labaningi akuzange sekufike etingcondweni tabo ukuthi bathathe lawo mathuba tigigaba nje lesitibonile leti result yaloyo moya kube kusha kwelikhaya lapha kamanzini noma kumatsapha lapho khona kulimela impahla lengalinganiselwa ku-60,000 kwaphindze kwaba kusha kwebhizinisi kanye nemoto kuleyo business nakhona ke kude umuntu lolimele cishe kube ngineto tigigaba lesitibonako letinye kusete letibikiwe letihambelana naleso sigigaba sangalelo langa lesivuka nako nje namhla Thombeni lokungasiko lokuhle kuthathwa kwetimotolo embabane ebusuku la ebus rank kucashwe imoto la kubo 10 11 ebusuku iyiswa emaphalaleni bafana lababili le endleleni babe sebamjikela driver bayithatha imoto Honda Fit imhlophe ngembala tinombolo tayo tithi SSD 357 MD bayithetheke leyo moto siyasola ke ukuthi ngahle kube ngiboke sebathethele enye nyalo ekseni lapha ebuka lapho khona babambe umuntu aphuma nje ekhaya bamuka imoto lo yakhe iMercedes icishe ibe lihlata ngembala tinombolo tayo tithi BSD 012 DH BSD 012 DH bathi thathanya lekuseni ke bayithathanya lekuseni ngabo 5 ke le kumnikati isikhathi lesiningi laba bekunene bangenda nje kusuke khona labafuna kubamba khona inkunzi siyacela ukuthi asibuke sibo somabhizinisi sihlahle emehlo nasitibona leti nombolo sicela singangabadi ushayela inhlabamkhosi yethu emaphoyisa noma ushayele 999 labane noma ushaye 112 masinyane sitakuhlanganisa nalabo labasebenta lenzabo ngaphandle kwaloko amaphoyisa sekavela khona emgwaqweni ehla inyuka ukuthi buka leti moto kulandzelela ukuthi ngabe tshona ngakuphi nabo ke laba bekunene siyawakhuthala umoya nangabe bayeva abatishiye leti moto kepha vele sisemva kwabo siyathembisa ukuthi ngelishone tingatfolakala
yeah kume sesilapho nje kule sigamekelo namhla ekseni iphiko bucala lobulo sobuvame kanganani siyathi lokuthi vele sike siyithola imbiko ukuthi vele bosomatekisi sebathethwe bamixwa kuphi labanye bayabulawa ingavele mhlambe seyimvule seyivame kanganani basengotini kanani vele
siyabonga kakhulu Tsatsethu kunetikhathi nje la uthola khona ukuthi bucala ngebucala biyaphakama phinze futhi mhlambe nasenibambile senibilandzelela senende ama strategies behlayehle leli icala nje lelingazange seliphele liselibana ukuthula lisenabana ukuphakama kepha ke vele ama robbery cases cishe la evenda kangwane ngilamanye ama cases la sihlupha kakhulu ngoba uyabona ukuthi kunebantu nje labahlala vele bagadze ukuthi baphile ngalomunye sithi ke lokho ukuthi noma ngabe umuntu uyamuka phela imoto yakhe asikhute ukuthi akungagcini kufika la sogcina umbulala umukile impahla yakhe sothatha nemphefumulo wakhe amane alahlekelwe ngunye phela netihlobo tingabe setikhala lonke sithi nje laba bekunene vele lo moya ukuthi basabise abantu bathathe impahla yabo akusiyinto lenhle singacwayisa ke nesive ukuthi laba labathethele imoto lo vele kuyavakala ukuthi ba-armed baphethe tonati bomb kugcineke sekubonakala labathathu namhla ekseni nabathatha le moto le asathi ukuthi bangaki imvamisa emacala la njengalawo ukhanza ukuthi kunelichungechunge labantu kunekuhlangana nekuhlukana etindzaweni thide so siyacela ukuthi sive nasibabona vele sithinze wona amaphoyisa
yeah kuma sisibheka nje kule mphela somvo nasibuka nje likhetho ephiko ama primary elections I think sibone nje tindzabeni etintsatsa tisibekela ukuthi kube netigameko nje mhlambe letibikiwe kube nama conflicts khona eHereford nakamanzini kube khona nje ukuhishana kube khona emphakathini kwesivi kanye nebaka ABC kwase ukuthi nakhona kahoho kwaba ne murder case lebikiwe nekuswelakala ukuthi lo bulewe mhlambe ucala ugagadlela kucala ingabe nje phiko kulena nje yasesipele yaseyakahoho yekubulawa kwalelo kuswelakala ukuthi ugagadlela ingabe athi nje ama developments lesson watfolile ningemaphoyisa
siyabonga kakhulu suthu umva ngacala ngayona leti libonakala ngathi kunekhisha etindzaweni kude mhlambe lo ngathi kuyetfusa kuleto tinfo leto vele nakukhona umsebenzi kuba khona lokungathi aniboni ngasolinye kepha lesikuthumisa ukuthi kutotonke letigaba vele begcina kufika ku solution noma kugcina kufikwa esivumelwaneni sinye kulokunye vele bekubita ukuthi labanye bathathwe basuswe kuleyo ndzawo lesetshenjelwa kuyo ngoba lo msindvo awufuneki ube la sisebentela khona kona umsindvo awufuneki yonke indzawo but ke nasekuphathamisana lo msebenzi kunengi lokungonakala so cishe bekufikwa la kuthiwa khona sekuyavunyelwana noma sekuyancotshwa leyo nkinga lebeyikhona bekuyinfo lecishe ikhona etindzaweni letinengana lengasitfusi noko siphinze sibonge nje umoya lomuhle lobo ukhona wekubambisana ukuthi injongo ukuthi lo msebenzi uphumelele ngoba isikhatsini lesiningi kuyakufuna bese kuba khona lo wehlako nangabe khona lophakeme nekuthi ke asibavaleli ngaphandle labo labanetikhalo tanoma ngangiluphi ihlobo lababona ukuthi athi kahambi tinvo kahle akhona amahhovisi aka EBC nangabe kuthintsana netindzaba ka EBC nangabe kuthintsana lepicala ngakanjalo sinawo amaphoyisa labukente leto tifunza endzabeni ke yekubulawa kwemuntu sitholile umbiko ekutolo ekseni ukuthi khona umuntu lokusolakala ukuthi sobulewe esiphocosini la sithi nasigijima khona nangembala samthola vele kunetingadi yonke indzawo-ke kubonakala ukuthi ugeciwe nangabusha. Siyalandzelela-ke leyo ndzaba, siyathembisa ukuthi kukhona lesitawugcina sibuye nako. Siyakwekhuta-ke loko sisete-ke emaciniso ukuthi ngaphambi kokuba makelo neminyaka lengu-57 abulawe yini le yendiwe kuye. Lolu phenyo lolutasitshela sekubonakele ukuthi kukhona imvele lokunye lokuthenzakele emtimbeni wakhe kungafiki kulesigaba sekuthi abulawe. Eshiselweni khona sibe nendvodza neminyaka lengu-36 letfolakele ekhatsi endlini itolwe ibulele. Siyakhutha-ke nako lokho ukuthi awu sive senkosi solo siyasincenga ukuthi asilifunele ikhambi nangabe sinenkinga yanoma ngangiluphi ihlobo kunekuthi sigcine sikhetha kona kuthatha umphefumulo. Kanye emigwacweni khona sibe bedide ingoti lethamba nawo umphefumulo, kepha-ke sibe nabo abantu labangu-28 labagcine baboshelwa ukuthi batfolakala sebashayela timotolo kanti sebathethe lokudzakisako.
Kumbe kokugcina nje phikhona sibuka nje lobunye bucala kwebiwa kwetimoto kulempela somvo kulahleka kwebantu nje bashito nje ukuthi vele nakuphizitela kangaka abantu bakwanza ukuthi sebathola lithuba ukuthi bangaganga kukhona nemibiko lenitfolile nje kulahleka kwebantu sekulahleke ubusibani senyamalele sibani sekwebiwa imoto yasibani kukhona nemibiko lenjengalelo lenitfolile.
Siyabonga kakhulu Thathwethu. Umbiko lengawukhumbula waselibonjeni lapho khona kunendvodza leneminyaka lengu-35 lekuvakala ukuthi inyamalele. Siyathemba ukuthi-ke naye kunene nangabe uyaphila la khona sitagcina simtfolile. Lesinye isikhathi-ke kulahleka kwabantu kufaka ekhathi kokuthi umuntu ukhanze sogcina utfolakala sewashona etindzaweni noma etigangeni. Kulesinye isikhathi kuba abantu labadzala lotfola ukuthi uyasuka nje ahambe ekhaya. Ebudzaleni-ke bayasho batempile ukuthi kuba nesifo lesibakhona lesenta lengcondvo ingasabi kahle. Kulesinye isikhathi ukhohlwe tintfo kuba ungahamba ungasabona ekhaya ukuthi ngikuphi. Nalapho siyacela ukuthi siva singathi nasikhanza abantu labanjalo labadzala sebahamba ebusuku noma lokunye ukhanzitha kagcoki negcoka bekalele vele uvuke wahamba nje bese kuba netinsolo tekuthu uyathakatha sebamshaya umuntu ugcina uyafa. Sithi nje sicele sive nasikubona abantu labadzala vele ungamane yomlahle emaphoyiseni nayo indzawo lephephile noma ngabe bosola ukuthi utowenta lokubi mthathe nje noma ubite emaphoyisa atamthatha tifune tihlobo kunekuthi sigcine sibabulala.
Yeah, koma sesivala nje because siyathi ukuthi vele singena evekini nakhona lelitabe liphizitela kusasa nje imbali yabhalisa ngalesihlanu uqala i-trade fair yavulwa ngalesithathu kunemsebenzi omkhulu we-Live Double celebration kuva nje mhlambe visibility yenu ngemaphoyisa nje nesiciniseko nje emaswatini kokuthi vele indaba enikhona emigwacweni kona siciniseko sokuthi siphephile.
Siyabonga kakhulu Thombeni. Umuntu angafiki nje mhlambe khulumeni ngalowo msebenzi kafishane. Sithanza kwendlulisa kubonga kwethu kakhulu esiveni sonke nekubalingani bethu lebesebenzisana nabo. Asinokhohlwa ukuthi emsebenzini lemkhulu kangaka siyayisibambe kanye ne-correctional services, sibambe kanye nawo umbutho. Siyabonga kakhulu ukubambisana lesihlale sikubona kanjalo-ke nemaphoyisa emango levele angona mkhono wemaphoyisa. Siyacela ukuthi lo moya uchubeke ubale emsebenzi nje Thombeni vele sawube solo sikanye njengaloku sekuvele kunjalo kusasa sibhekile ukuthi lo msebenzi siubambisana uzofika emaphethelweni awu kutekele kwenteka ngaphambilini kwasehlula. Siyathemba ukuthi nalo msebenzi lo utawuvela ubanjwe kanjalo. Sive nje sikhumbule ukuthi imbali phela nalichamba kalibutfo uma ngabe kuyenteka siyacelwa sive ukuthi asikhweshe noma sime kancane akumane kube ngiloko. Siyacelwa ukuthi la kunelibutfo liphithitela khona asihambe ngelitubanele eliphasi ukuze kuthi singakhanzi sesibanyathela. Nabo-ke siyati ukuthi bayaliwe ababephathe ngaleyo ndlela sikabheki ukuthi sive ukuthi khwalo sacwilile emfuleni silo salungisa emashawa bageza kahle akube betekelo sabonakala yobhukusha agcine sekalahlekelwa ngomphefumulo. Lo ngasacabangeke kubebela labantwana awuvele loyo uyawube udilanzela lilahle ngoba sitabe sikhona kutotonke letindzawo kwenta siqiniseko sokuthi impahla yabo nabo bayaphepha basachubeka nemsebenzi bahambe baye etikhumulweni bayogeca labatawube bageca khona. Sibhekile ukuthi inhlonipho ibe khona sibavulele bawele yona imigwaco konke nje njengaloku kuhlale kwenteka eminyakeni sihambe siyofika kulo holiday elikhulu kakhulu la sitawube khona sive siphelele nalapho siyathemba ukuthi umsebenzi utawuba muhle. Awu i-trade fair-ke siyati bekunene kunemigomo yakhona asilandzele konke lokho lesiyabe sicela ukuthi sikwende kanjalo nema-parking njengalokho sitabe sikhonjiswa ngomaphoyisa sitabe sikhona kutotonke letindzawo sitinikele kakhulu uchubeka sisiphephise sive. Ungakhohlwa Thombeni asidzinwa asiteli asilambi asinethwa konke lokho liphoyisa.
Yeah, ngiyavakala simakhulu because khathi sakho mbukeli sawuthi vele ukuthi kuye phikho ukuthi sive sithabe siphephile kuleli viki njengoba nje sicala liviki lelinye lapho khona kutabe kunemisebenzi yelive lebalekile lecala kusasa nje ngawo umsebenzi wemhlanga lapho khona imbali kubhekekile ukuthi ihambe iyobhalisa njengoba utawukhumbula ukuthi umhlanga uyacala kusasa. Asibathatha mayithena sibuya sikhuluma ngetemidlalo.
Ubusebiyelele wena mswati wabusa phambi kwetitha wasuyathi ndlula wasuyahlamba wasuyashashabula uyimbubu ngwenyama ngumkhokho yabanekela udla emathole ezinyathi wena waphakathi ethi
umnyaka wa-2023 ngumnyaka lomkhulu eSwatini njengoba live lihalekisela ingwenyama yenkosi Mswati wesithathu iminyaka lengama-55 yatalwa lehlanganiswe nokugubha iminyaka lengama-55 live latfola amazibuse. Ugamisa lo mkhosi lomkhulu welive umsakazo weSwatini TV umemasive ukuthi sibukele tinhlelo elikhombisa imisebenzi yentuthuko yelive leyasukunyiswa yaphinze yasekelwa silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu lesolo isimamise live nalomuhla. Inhlelo lingena njalo ngelisonto ngensimbi yesine entsambama. Halala mbangazitha, halala eSwatini.
Asimizele sinibukele sekuvusele nalo sanza kusivulela sibuka dona temidlalo lepetendeka kule mphela Somvo naye Linda Master Minister kanje ngebuka nje ngayo eCAF Championships lepta kumleka ukuthi iGreen Mamba iphumile lebeyidlala neUDD Songo licembuke lase Mozambique. Inkosi yasekumukele sibonga kakhulu ukuthi ube nathi nomuhla umsombuluko sikhuluma dona tindzaba temidlalo lasingacala ngayo vele nje lena yeCAF lokuthi sesiphumile vele kanjalo nje ku CAF ngekuthi siluze idolo ku UDD Songo.
Ngiyabonga Lulu kumukele ehlelweni lakho ngititfobo lokhulu Vuselena umbukelo weSwatini TV iloyal viewer iGreen Mamba beyidlala umlente wesibili weCAF Champions League nayo licembu leUDD Songo le7 lase Mozambique umlente wecala laba udlala evikini eliphelile enkundleni ezimpento khona eMaputo wesibili ke iGreen Mamba bese kumele ukuthi kube ngumlente wasekhaya kubo but ke ngaloko ukuthi site lakhaya inkundla lesezingeni lelifunwa ngiyo iCAF eGreen Mamba ibona ukuthi kungcono ukuthi ibuyele khona le Cabo UDD Songo ezimpeto yadlala ke le game on Saturday iGreen Mamba itakulomlente wesibili nje yakhala phasi emlenteni wokuqala emlenteni wokuqala sabona ukuthi bekunebadlali labebangekho mo especially isikhali wayingenela ku 68 minutes leyo game leyo kwangenteka imehluko emlenteni wesibili ke Saturday ikudlaliwe yadlala kahle iGreen Mamba even though yaconsider but yadlala kahle kule game leyo ngeke sicambe manga iligoli nje labo because lo mdlalo wagcina ophele nga 1-1 ligoli labo Mcolisi Mkhonvo wathola ifree kick leya deflector yashaya umdlalo we-UDD Songo langena kwaba 1-1 but ke vele lo mthetho uthi nangabe udliwe emlendeni wokuqala kudzinga kusemlendeni wesibili uwine bese ke kubukwa lamagoli but iGreen Mamba yayidliwe lokusho ukuthi nje iGreen Mamba seyiphumile ku CAF Champions League nga 2-1 ku aggregate score seside licembu litasimelela ku any CAF competition because iGreen Mamba beyiyodwa vele ku Champions League lebe kumele ukuthi iye ku CAF Confederations Cup beku Young Buffaloes yona liyacetha senzaweni yesibili iYoung Buffaloes ke ayikayi ku CAF Confederations Cup ngetindzaba ukuthi bathi bede imali base bayibhalela ke yona iCAF Pro Football Association ukuthi baba excuse kodwa kuTaneliswati ke lokho kungenteka nje iGreen Mamba uthola ukuthi noma sorry iYoung Buffaloes uthola ukuthi nayichubeka ewina lapha ekhaya mele yomelela live uthola ukuthi ayisakhona ukulimelela kwaye kwenteka ngalomnyaka eKaizer Chiefs nayiwine ileague nga 2004 yacebesela ke kuyodlala yona competition ya CAF bayisuspenda ke yona iKaizer Chiefs iminyaka lokuyize seyibuya nje kule minyaka lephelile but ngicabanga ukuthi as much as kuneteam vele kumele ukuthi lulu CAF yes ngiyalati mina eliswati lakhe libhlungu kanganani kodwa I think kumele kube nendlela yekubuka ukuthi nangabe kulawo maleaks lawo kude leti imali leti enough ukuthi lama teams akhona ukudlala iCAF ngoba angeke uze ube number 2 ku league kubheke ukuthi uyodlala iCAF Confederations Cup uwine imali lengaphasi kwa 500,000 utaspenda wena imali lengetulu kwa 1 million itrip inye nawuchubekele sigabeni lesilandzelako phinze ngilenye imali lokusho ukuthi wena kahle kahle uthi ngiyaspenda akubuyi lutho daze kubuye sengile kuma group stages ngicabanga ukuthi team voletelo kumele ukuthi CAF atebuke kakhulu as much as football association ngabalekelela kodwa le mali lekhokhwa kulamacembu nakayodlala yona iCAF competition isedulu kakhulu
bakala ngifuna simove nje master mhlambe siselapha ekhaya eSwatini nje I think sibonile indvuna itolo ilauncha iBangladesh Mutual T10 cricket league lokuva nje master ukuthi vele ngabele interest nje eMaswatini ngaso le sport sesikhule kanganani nje sona ngoba sathi ukuthi kakhulu nje sathi kakhulu lebhola la eSwatini but nje letinye lamanye ama sporting codes nje kwangathi ingabe nje sinjani simo nasiboyo ni cricket
Lulu indzaba ye cricket lapha Even sayiqala ke icricket yaqala ke lapha Even lekubo 1970 kodwa bedlalwa kakhulu ngibelibala limhlophe noma bekhamba belumbi nangisho njalo kuya nathi amaswati kwase kuthi ke nakufika ihlobo tenkosi lechamuka eAsia bafika bo Bangladesh bo Pakistan bo India bafika then le sport saqala ke kwaba ngathi siyadlalwa kakhulu because vele bona sport labazidlalako labakhula ngaso bamfana babancane bakhula ngaso so over the years sizamile lokukhula because sesihambile nje in the past 2 years sihambile sayo Rwanda sayodlala ama qualifiers sihambile sayo Botswana i-national team yabomake nanamhla iyahamba lokusikhuluma iyakhona eBotswana sesikhonile kwa attenda ema games ema friendly games siwadlalile eMozambique ema under 19 aseMozambique adlala ema friendly game khona so le sport bese sidinga sponsorship ukuze sitawuthatha le level siyimise eTulu itolo ke kuhlangene ngisho ukuthi tinkampani letingotulu kwa 15 tafuna ukusponsorisha yona noma tasponsorisha yona i-league njengoba usho ukuthi iEswatini Bangladesh Mutual cricket league lena ke Lulu ihlukile ku league laba solo bayidlala ku B division na A division kudlalwa 20 overs ema over ke Lulu wabala kanje i-over inemabhola lang6 lokusho ukuthi nawe ijika nje uthi 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 over lo bekudlalwa 20 overs kodwa le tawuqala leqale itolo lebeyilonjwa isukunye so indvuna itemidlalo Harrisburg taba i-T10 lokusho ukuthi angeke izithathe ilanga lonke ngenteka ukuthi igame ithathe bo 2 hours iphele lokusho ukuthi taba fast ngicabanga ukuthi into lenhle leyo nalokuthi ke letinkampani tikhokhe imali leng-300,000 kurana le tournament for the first time ever i-tournament i-cricket lapha ekhaya ibe nemali leng-300,000 iwina itawuthola 20,000 for the first time ever ukuthi iwina ene umgcuzelwano wemidlalo wecricket lapha even ithola imali leng-20,000 emalakeni so ngicabanga ukuthi mina itolo ngithi nangihlala phansi ngibuka ibandla le noma ngala kulehlangothi letemidlalo la eSwatini TV over the years si promoter sipusha ema sports la ngasiko recognized sibacelela ema sponsorship ngibuke ngathi cha kumele eSwatini TV atishaye isifuba because sikhonile kukwenda lokho bamvu and angifuni ukuthi ase credit lulu uthite one of Asian guy ngisho njalo because he is not Indian wathi my man even ngingayeva kahle kakhulu but lokuthi niyayiphusha icricket every day kusende thine satsinzeka sahamba sasponsorisha yona icricket eSwatini we are proud ukuthi sibone indlela lenipromoter ngayo cricket so nathi ngicabanga ukuthi singayithatha le credit singumsakade eSwatini TV
no siyajabulela masanisebenzile ngempela alright kwekugcina mhlawumbe nasingabuka nje ema leagues CPL nasibuka EPL yona ama results ukuthi ambe kanjani kulembala somva
English Premier League kutendeka tinfo itolo bekudlala igame lengicishe ngathi beyinkulu lolu Newcastle versus Liverpool lapho khona iNewcastle bedlala ekhaya St James's Park iLiverpool ivakashile ithola red card ke iLiverpool kulomdlalo lo Virgil van Dijk wathola ired card after 177 appearances for iLiverpool kanzi ithola ired card nje iLiverpool iNewcastle ihamba phambili iyakora labanengi bese bacansi kuphelile ngeLiverpool kodwa iLiverpool towards the end of the game nase kuyophela nje lomdlalo ubuyile Nunez around 88 minutes wayithola equalizer kwase kuthi futhi ngesikhathi lesengetiwe wathola le kunqoba lomdlalo iLiverpool ngicabanga itolo idlale kahle kakhulu speed sakhe Nunez itolo idlale kahle kakhulu iLiverpool igcina iwina le game 2-1 lenye igame lebedlala Manchester City versus Sheffield United igcine iwinile Manchester City lokusho ukuthi Manchester City 3-3 sebana 9 points bona in 3 games bawinile 2-1 Manchester United on Saturday yawina ku Nottingham Forest 3-2 nayo ke iManchester United beyilandzela ngemuva 10 minutes iNottingham Forest beyina 2 goals yabuya ke ya recover yona yakhona ukuthi equalize Manchester United igcine iwina le game 3-2 Arsenal at home le record yengadlali kahle ekhaya iyachubeka bebadlala neFulham yakora kuqala iFulham kodwa yagcina ikhonile yona iArsenal ukuthi izame ukuthi ibuye egameni yathi 2-1 but nayo iFulham bese ine red card yakhona equalizer yathi 2-2 lengicabanga akusiyo igame iArsenal uyihambele kahle kakhulu Chelsea on Friday bedlala neLuton Town lolu icembu leliqhamuka ka championship lesigabeni lesingaphasi kweEPL by stadium sakhona silayisha ngaphasi kwa 15,000 it's just a small town nje iwinile ke iChelsea isekhaya iChelsea yawina 3-0 Raheem Sterling udlale kahle kakhulu kulomdlalo lona singamshayela nje tandla since afikile eChelsea ngicabanga iperformance mina lengibone ngathi solo afika cha Manchester City ibe in one of the best otherwise kule weekend sibone nje ngisho ukuthi emagoli ashayiwe kona ku English Premier League nangale ke bo France bonile Mbappe ashaya 2 goals asita yona ePSG inqoba kuLens ngicabanga ukuthi nakhona lapho i first win yayo iPSG
all right no ngiyavakala sibakhulu master kusiniketa nje loyo mbiko wempelasonto ukuthi ihambe kanjani ngo 2 minutes before 8 o'clock bese khulumisana naye Linda Masadlamini siniketa nje isithombe sokuthi akutemidlalo sihambe kanjani ke impelasonto sicatha khuluma ngayo EPL kanye ne-CAF Champions League lapho khona iGreen Mamba iphumile beyidlala nelicembu le-UDD Songo lase-Mozambique. Wasiniketa nje nesithombe se-cricket noma ke i-league ye-cricket letawuchubeka lelonjwe ngiyo indvuna yetemidlalo Harris Bulunga. It's 2 minutes before 8 o'clock. We've come to the end of our show today. Thank you for joining us. Sathemba ukuthi sicala liviki nje, sethemba ukuthi sitaba nelilanga neliviki lelinhle nalelibusa sike. We'll see you tomorrow on Sale Kahle.
International Trade Fair. Eswatini TV brings you a trade fair promotion and a double celebration package. 5-minute live interview on location for only 4,600 emalangeni. A live Kusile breakfast show interview on location for as low as 3,450 emalangeni. 30 seconds complimentary message for only 12,638 emalangeni 50 cents. 30 seconds commercial advert with a minimum of 20 slots, corporate for only 659 emalangeni 15 cents. Small medium enterprise for only 332 emalangeni 72 cents. Promotion ends on the 30th of September 2023.